Oh my. Hello. Sunshi and Biggie Boy are here in the stream. Okay, I'm gonna stop. I'm going to stop. I'll speak normally, I promise. Hi. Oh wait, it's a stream? No, it's a video. I'm just like kind of guessing what you'd be saying at this moment. No, you can premiere streams on YouTube. I always premiere my streams on YouTube, and you know, for a few minutes. Well, basically, as I'm setting up the live, I hit like premiere so I could just, when I take a few minutes to myself, people can like, you know, pop in. And also, what happened, Nova? I'm very interested. Hi, Ryson. Welcome to the stream. Ah! Fuck. My voice is kind of shit. This is deepfake AI? How about you die? Bars! Did you cover the Home Switcher FLP? That was the last stream, yeah. My girlfriend got diagnosed with depression. Oh, hell yeah. Where I come from, that's called a script. Because you get meds. No, I'm joking. Open. Hi, Kirby's ass. What do you mean, oh, hell yeah? I'm joking. I'm joking! But yeah, no, seriously, I hope it's like... I hope she gets better. And is considering therapy or something like that. Personally, I've never been a huge fan of meds. But, you know, it works for different people. Quick news, Usao released Brain Power Remix yesterday. Oh, damn. That's actually big news. What the hell? Alright, cool. Good to know. It's already getting better. That's good. I guess, like, knowing that it's not just like, oh, well, I guess I'm just really sensitive to life, you know? And it's like, you know, an abnormality in just the brain's makeup. It's almost reassuring because it's like, okay, yeah, I'm not just like crazy for thinking the things that I think. Choji, my goat, is finally dropping. Fuck yeah. But no, yeah, this is the project. I don't even know if I want to like thugging it to another fembread stream. I don't even know what that means. I don't even know if I want to like play start to finish because like the assumption is everyone in the stream knows what this song sounds like. And a lot of people who are in this stream were in this stream that I was making this song in. Oh yeah, and the Danny Brown album came out. I've heard mixed reviews. I've actually only heard one review, and that review was it sucked. I haven't heard anything, like I haven't heard the album, so I don't know. So form your own opinions. Fucking Lolrix, it has been a long time. It's like I remember saying that name, but I just haven't seen it. Welcome. I've recently dropped an EP. I have the wrong song title on the stream. Actually, I had the wrong song title on the last stream too. My fucking dumbass. Oh my god. Daria 2010. Let's go. It has been fixed. Didn't hear that one yet. It's the one with fentanyl, I think. I'm heard my goat ain't dropping. Fuck. Well, because I already did. I literally just dropped like fucking last week. Technically a few days ago. Was the final song. Okay, whatever. I'll start to finish this because I could use an excuse to pad out the time, but this is Zarya 2010, and I think it starts over here for some reason.
Tired of life, I know it can't be the fish, can't wait some for this shit. All over the place. Then I just slide, and now it's my soul. That was pretty.
It's a fun one for sure. Hi Kev, welcome to the stream. Do you think people use bots to sub their videos in weird ass training videos? Bots to like subtitle? Do you mean? Fucking MCB Chronicle is here at the same time as Kev. Are you two like in a circle jerk? Like what's going on? Subscribers. Oh. I'm probably, I don't know, I wouldn't doubt it. There's also just a lot of people out there who mindlessly click buttons. Alright, there's a whole universe out there. Why is there a bum speaking to me? That's what I'm saying. Fucking talk to him, like. Alright. I know this bum ain't speaking about bums. And just like that, there is drama. I remember this one only because of the... I thought it was safe? Huh? Some of these are so repeated comments. Well, I mean, there's just also bots that roam the internet too. You know? That maybe aren't, like, by the person who made the shorts, but are just on the site for the sake of making it seem like there are more people on the site. Which is the dead internet theory. Damn. Jesus Christ, that took a while. Please like this stream in solidarity for my fading English skills. Okay. We're breaking this down now. And this is usually the part where engagement completely plummets, dives off a cliff, just no recovery in sight, and it's like that for the rest of the stream. Because essentially what's happening is I'm waffling about the track. The entire track, from start to finish. All parts of it. How I made every single sound. Not really. Like, how I made every single sound, because a lot of the time I just don't fucking remember. But, you know, lurk, don't, stick around, don't, but as the title of the stream is, I'm breaking this FLP down. So let's start. Basically I started this track left to right. This is one of the few that I didn't start with like a drop idea. I just made the intro first because I just had the idea to like merge these acapellas specifically. Like I had the name of the FLP like pretty early. We are in a circle right now, fam. Want to join? Not necessarily. I'm a little busy, but I appreciate the offer. Thank you. I just wanted to mix all of these acapellas. I can't even read the text because it's yellow. But like...
No flex zone. No flex zone. They know better.
Like, no flex, bottoms up. Which is this one right here. This is no flex. And then, lonely.
No flex zone. No flex zone. They know better. They know better.
Like, for a while, I just had that, you know? So I'm like, alright, I need to make, like, 2 section. Beat section, and then a section that actually builds into whatever the drop would be. And I made the drop, like, fucking a month after I made the intro. It took so long to come up with it. And then I just got lazy and used an acapella that I already used. So I'm just like, you know, basic ass. It cannot get simpler than that. Fuck you mean you're in a circle? Kevin and I are in a type of circle together. I mean, yeah, that's about as much explanation as you're gonna need. Nobody wants to be in a state radius. I'm not gonna say what it sounds like. Oh no, it's gay sex. Don't worry about it. You know, fucking, it's the most standard, like, not really jerk, but kind of jerk. You know, with an 808 that has like some high-end shit happening. It's I don't think there's any of this like EQ'd. Okay, it's like high passed and maybe slightly distorted. Okay, so I touched it up a little bit. I didn't even high pass the fucking hi-hats though. I'm lazy as shit. So I'm like that over the thing, and it already sounds pretty good. I might turn the gain down. Just wanted the intro to sound a little cleaner, because otherwise it would be way too fucking distorted. And I'm like, okay, lead time. I really like making these. Don't worry, Chronicle, I'll be in a circle with you. Oh my god. A circle with Biggie Boy, that's a nightmare blunt rotation. I think the bird's calling. Unfortunately, I can't be in that circle. Right, so I don't know why I called it like it's 2012. I think I was gonna do something like that, but then I just decided to do the thing that I always do, which is like just kind of make like an ARP sort of lead and then just process a shot of it later. You know, very fun. That could be used for a lot of things. Just a nice melody. Um, and then you just process the shit out of it. So I do this ring mod thing where it's like I don't know how to explain these knobs, but what do you mean? I'm in the dream blunt rotation? I'm not so sure about all of that. I kind of arrived at these knobs as like a way to like add. Initially, it was to add stereo, but then I realized that it sounds kind of like weird and like bit crushed. So I saved this preset. I made this preset like a year ago. I don't know how, you know, but sometimes you just kind of turn knobs and then you arrive at a conclusion. Because this is a fucking ring mod. It's not meant to sound like this. But, you know, sounds cool. And then the delay that I add, some ping pong, EQ. It's very harsh at the 3K, 4K, so get rid of that. And then I'm doing this grist beat thing to kind of, this is all the groove right here. And yeah, basically it. And then that's like the whole fucking intro. Besides like, you know, some impact sounds. You already know the bubble up reverse, the Cashmere Exhaust 1, which I spam all the time, and this glass sound effects. You already know. This is, you can't hear this. There's like a P controller. Somewhere. There it is. I don't even know where my friend got it from, but like that's some glass break sound I stole from my friend. And that's essentially the whole intro, but I needed to add some fucking lush sort of sound to like transition it into the next part. You know, as like a, because I didn't want to add like just a white noise riser. I wanted the riser to be like a sort of, if it plays, if it ever plays. I don't think it will play actually because it's muted. Like sort of that, you know, but just like pitched correctly. You know, and you have to have this. So back to what I was saying, because like that's kind of the whole I saved the project. Ah, it's meant to be untouched. I think it messes with like the time. So I've got a project info. Yeah, it says 13 hours. I don't know if it was actually 13 hours. Whatever. By this point, I'm like coming up with some bullshit to try to fill the space out, because I know that I want it to be the same bass pattern but like ascending. Oopsies. That was an accident. Let me just do that. You know, but this time it's breaks. Well, less gain. The thing I do with all my breaks to give them more chop. This is the third time I'm doing this because, well, I use breaks a lot and I want them to be choppier. Like that has way too much room and I feel like that'd be unmanageable in the mix. There's a lot happening, so I want there to be less happening from the drums end and like let the noise be noisy. But this is still like bit crushed and all that shit, and you know, it sounds fucked and distorted, but like it works. And this is when I start throwing in bullshit, because like I'm just like, well, literally, I love making bridges, like music wise or like literal bridges. I might be the goat for getting selected for a business and marketing internship. Oh yeah, that's actually sick. A fucking marketing internship. I hope you like, do good shit with that. You should like suit and tie up and just like try way too hard. I think it'll be really funny. Like I'll spend so long just to make a perfect bridge for a song. I see. Yeah, I'm not really great at those. I mean, sometimes I do make bridges by accident, but I never really mean to. I don't know. College and spring plus internship. Do we want me to have a downfall? I mean, not really. I'm just like proud. The fuck? Whatever. I just like have this audio file. Every now and then I take something that like a scale or some sequence of notes, and I just put it into Edison, and I use the blur tool. It is very useful because it just smears audio, and it's like Paul Stretch at home, essentially. If you want to think of it like that. But that's how I made that fucking sound. And I'm just like, okay, bring the lead back in. Right. All right. Now we're getting somewhere. I built that part separately from like having all the vocals because I wanted it to like be good. You know. But then the vocals come back in, and everything's complete. Four point oh, and only two students selected in your entire school. That's pretty baller. I did not give a shit about school enough to do that. When I was in high school, I was playing Minecraft. Favorite thing to do with a bridge is like introduce a cool new lead and bring it into the chorus. Yeah, no, that's always fun. I love doing that shit. Right, so it builds, and then the fill, then the drop. I didn't know what to do for the fill, so I just got generic and did the thing that I do all the time. And in order to connect the vocals to this, I just kind of like it's you could hear it. It's like it's there. Simple. Fun fact: this is just the Game and Watch sound effect, pitched way down. Cool, and that's the intro. Awesome. Love Clave perks so much. Yeah, they're so fun. I just don't take AP classes like typical plus entrepreneurs, so it's pretty much easy. Yeah, I guess. You don't make it too hard on yourself. I mean, for me, it's like it's not even that like I was in any difficult classes. I just again like didn't care. Like I just wouldn't do any of my homework. I would just let like my test scores carry me the whole time. Which wouldn't work. I'd have to like do like summer recovery classes anyway. Because I just didn't do any of my fucking homework. High scrims took over. I mean, yeah, but like, I wasn't doing my homework before I even knew high scrims were a thing. So, I don't really think it did more damage, than the damage that was already done. And don't even get me started, because like high scrims, that was that was when COVID hit. Like people were I was inside and just playing Minecraft more often with the homies, But like before that, I was already like doing summer recovery, so I just didn't care. It was very fun. I just kind of dilly-dallied all through school and played Smash at lunch. I'm just so tired of life. I know it can't be in fish, can't wait. Okay, we're here now. Right, so I got very lazy. I think there were some weird people at that time. Oh no, of course. COVID was like the worst time of my life. It was like the time of my life. It was the best and worst. It was a lot of things. Um, it was a lot of things. I don't regret it happening, but I wish it unfolded differently. And now you hear how much vocals carry. So let's get into it. COVID was a time when I got into music, and that's the only good thing about it. Well, that's good. So I'll go over, the basic shit. So with this saw stack, You know, super thick saw stack, super big. Very simple, okay? I use 2 serum. Count them, 2 serum. Alright, it's all it takes. Serum 1. It's the super saw, you know, octave apart. This one's a bit more detuned than the lower octave. I'm not using any OTT, and it's mainly just mids. It's mainly just mids. I cut out some of the low mids and some of the like noisy highs, and I just clip the fuck out of it. I should probably get rid of this here. That's what it sounds like actually. There we go. That's more accurate. Now, Saw 2. It's just entirely clean. I explain this shit all the time over here on the fembread stream, right? Randoms all the way down because it's a single fucking it's one voice per oscillator. So like I'm not gonna fuck around with random phase. And I kind of shift the phase of the octaves to give it a bit of a unique quality because it changes the overtones slightly. Now, this is the complete opposite of the other EQ, right? So it's like all this low stuff and the noisy highs, but I cut out like most of the mids. And you combine, well, I clip it to shreds as well. Super nice, loud, distorted, wide layer, but the clarity of the notes is still there. It's not like it's super completely smeared out. Like you can still tell what the chord is. You know, the ethereal nature of it is still there, which I like. And then these both get sent into like a final bus, which gets more clipping. Another EQ which is less aggressive on the mids because the mids are fucked. You know, and then I have like a reverb here that I automate in sometimes. But yeah, I'm doing the same thing I did last project. I think I don't even think that I made them in that order, but like it's just funny how it worked out. So like the chord itself, I usually start off with the sus2 as like the bottom voice for like the actual chord up top. I just keep this note down here for the overtones that it adds because you can still like hear the overtones that it adds. You know, if it wasn't there, it'd have a bit less body, but the bass note of the other whatever. Okay, sus2 minor third, right? Dissonance, easy. I will play only the first saw for this. Right? And then we just go up to the 4, and then the 5, and then the minor 7th. Very close together so that it can sound still like... Because if I really wanted to kind of like highlight the fidelity of the chord, you know, and like make the notes super audible, I'd space them out more. But I did want it to be, you know, I like me a good wall of sounds. I like me a good distorted sort of sound. Billy, but how was your Halloween? Uneventful and very boring. I've been trying to get someone to sing a chorus for me. Virtual hasn't seen my DM. I will DM them and I'll figure it out. I'll sort it out for you, don't worry. And the next chord, there's no theory behind it. I just kind of took these notes and moved them up an octave. And it works. And now that dissonance is all the way at the top. Hi, Deadpoo Bob. Welcome to the stream. I'm currently breaking down Daria 2010. And then for this one, I just took this note and moved it up an octave. So it's slightly higher. Know what I'm saying? Super nice. Cool. Now that's the super saw stack. Next, I guess, would be, there's another layer here that I have that you can just barely hear. I forget where this is from. Oh. What's it called? Barely, well, I don't know, like, for me, it's barely audible, but I know it's because it's mainly in the mids. If I... It's still barely audible. On its own, it's loud as hell, though. But whatever. It's some, like, sample that I have laying around. Because I just needed, like, another layer. It's that. Just pitched down. And I did it through a serum for some reason. Through the serum, like, noise thing. Not even a serum 2, just a serum. Like, I don't know. Okay. It is sparkly. I like it, you know. I wanted it to add a bit more of a sparkly character to the chord, but, like, you know, it would get too much in the high end. So just, like, the little bit of a transient that it adds to each chord stab and the ever so slight, like, constant note that you can hear, you know, it just kind of adds to the chord rather than, like, being a standalone element. Fed bed. I'm not a fucking fed. Do you feel guilt about how many old people you've killed? No. Right, now it's bass time. If it's on. There it is. Oh, yes. That's something a Fed would say? Okay, alright. So, the bass that I'm using... That's what a good musician looks like. Jesus Christ. So the bass I'm using, it's the bass I use all the time, where I use this fucking waveform, I put a noise on it, I put it through some distortion, I put this on the chorus pitch on an envelope at a pretty fast speed. And it doesn't need that much of an EQ, but it's also going into a bass clipper, which adds a bit of distortion. Just a hair. Just a hair, you know what I mean? Just a hair. But it's not about what it's doing to the sub, it's about what it allows the sub to do to everything else. Like this layer here, this is all for the low mids. So you get that real beefy, wide sound, but like a nice, consistent bass signal underneath it. You know, and this is a very simple sound. It's just some bullshit. All right, it's a super saw stack. It's an oscillator. B is an octave and a fifth up from oscillator A. There's a sub here, which with the help of this distortion adds some grit to the sound, some much needed grit to the sound, because I don't want just the sub to be doing the distortion work. I want it to be helped out by something else as well. You know what I mean? That's all that distortion. And I could do that, but then, like, that low mid layer is inconsistent. So now distorting it with a sub just makes that low mid part a bit more consistent. Just a bit more consistent. More consistent enough, you know. Like that's what I need. At the end of the day, it's still like a detuned fucking super saw thing. So there's gonna be at times where the phase isn't quite where you want it to be, and it's like not, you can't really hear the distortion of it quite well. You know, it's like you can run into your own issues, but like, you know, fucking you could die drinking water. So like, I'm not gonna tiptoe around life just because of that. And then with the saws, doesn't that just sound so cool? I think it sounds really cool. Right. And then by this point it's just drums. Nothing special really, just the kick that I use all the time. I made a snare and I called it Dog at Best Buy as a reference to Cat at Kmart. Shout out. Please learn music theory. Fuck's sake. And I just fucking, it's a good snare. I use it. That's it. Drums made of reinforced steel. I do like drums that sound like they're made with fucking something you'd find in your kitchen. You know. And I add a little square fill here for the flare. So this part is fucking sick. I'm not doing anything different with the saws. I'm just adding the lead, obviously. And the drums now resemble a kick clap pattern. And I'm doing this thing. It's a reference to an XXXTentacion song that I cannot find anymore. But like there is a snare that did that. And I thought it was the coolest shit in the world, and for the longest time, like ever since I like first heard it, like, and that was early in my production careers, and I'm just like, I've always looked for an excuse to use it, but like it just never worked out. But this time I'm like, I have to, you know, it fits the groove. Do you know who the Ta J is by chance? Is that a Harry Potter spell? I don't. I'm sorry. But like, yeah, the drum thing. And I tend not to sidechain my rides, because it just sounds cooler, I think. Oh, well, actually, am I sidechaining? No, I'm not. I'm not, surely. No, I'm not, right? 5. That's what I thought. Cool. And for the drop, you know, you have to have the fucking... I'm doing a couple of things here with the sound effects, you know, to really complete everything. So, you might have noticed, the keen-eyed among you might have noticed the P controller here on this super saw. So, the reason is because after the ghetto clip, the level of the saw is like perfectly, you know, at a point. It's just on and then like off, you know. And that's useful if I want the noise to follow what the saw is doing. Which is what is happening here. So the balance is not mixed when the noise initially hits, so it can ring out. Or it could just sustain itself. But then it gets mixed in after that initial impact, so it can just kind of still be noise, but it's like, it's now one with the chord. You know, but it still sounds different than the rest. Because this is the impact part, and it's just sound like the impact part. I do it again here. Do it again here. You know, later for the drop too. But we'll get there. And then I do the triplet fucking hit marker thing. And then, you know, necessary laser after the reverb clap. Very simple fill. Right, okay. I've been edging this for a very long time. It's vocal time now.
I'm just so tired of life. I know it can't be a bitch.
I just ripped that vocal, you know what I mean? Processed the fuck out of it. Compression, multiband, bit crush, EQ, de-essing. God, I don't want to hit F12. I really don't feel like hitting F12. Louder, and then a high pass.
I'm just so tired of life. I know it can't be a bitch. Can't wait till I'm rich. I'll still be poor as shit.
You know, and that alone is like the drop. That's it. That's everything. I just add that, and suddenly it's not empty.
I'm just so tired
Wait.
of life. I know it can't be a bitch. Can't wait till I'm rich. I'll still be poor as shit. Keep my spit on it.
So I had to add the, you know, the couple bands in the second half just cause background, you know, something that is happening when there is nothing happening. All right, that's basically the theme of hyperflip. You gotta fucking simulate people. 4 bits, dude. Hi, welcome to the stream. Have you seen those Detroit beats on TikTok with like 1 million perk rolls? I have not. Super cool artist is dropping a second album this year. Super color coded. I see. And then the fucking that fucking bird that I hate. You know what I mean? And then this part just sounds sick as hell. Chopping it like that is super important because that's all the groove. Any tips on FL Mobile? Sorry, no. Huh. But I still wanted it to be like a background vocal. And then I remember just getting really bored. I'm like, I'm gonna put huffin in the background. No one's gonna notice. And nobody said anything. Still dariacore, eh? Cool. I'll still diecore. Yeah, it is diecore, actually. Diecore, that's really funny. Diecore. I just kind of gloshed over it like it was a typo. But like that's a hop, skip, and a fucking jump away from Daria. This is fucking diecore. This type of shit that'll kill your grandma, like. Alright, cool. And then I do the fucking Game & Watch laser fill again. Just got on your streams just now. No, that's alright. I'm just breaking down the EP that I dropped like a week ago. I use a kick scratch as well as the fill because I can't fucking decide. And now it's time for the lazy breakdown. I considered it lazy when I was making it at the time because it's comprised entirely of elements that are already here except for this thing. Shut the fuck up. Nobody asked. You know what I mean? But I'm using the same ARP as earlier, except I'm automating out the patch that made it louder for the drop. Doing this, you know, delay automation thing on the vocals, on the fucking the first beat of every single bar, because it sounds cool. But I'm basically doing the same thing that I did over here, you know, except it's all breaks, right? So you can imagine how Captain Crunch feels about that. And it's the same damn break as this break too, because I got fucking lazy. It's a monster project, but it's like kind of just nothing really. Same bass as earlier. So back to what I was saying, and then for the second half, I'm like, okay, you know, it's gonna build up to something pretty cool. I think I'm making these build-ups with like no idea how the drop is gonna sound after this. So it's like, to me, it's always funny whenever I do manage to come up with a drop. But like, I'm just like, alright, I'm just gonna fucking throw some shit in. The huffin vocals coming back. And this thing is coming back too. I just noticed I'm doing this actually. where I'm using a fucking I'm not even doing this in the intro. I'm doing this here only. You know, by this point I'm like, okay, 4 on the 4 claps. And I'm gonna put another breakdown. It's just for some more groove. But it sits in like a weird place in your ears. But like, you know, for the sake of the overall mix, it does sound cool. IMO. Does your bass have like sidechain shit in it? Not the bass, more like I have a sidechain track that everything goes to. But like, yeah, I'm breaking, I'm doing the same riser thing as before. You know, glass break, simple. You know, but for the build up, I decide I this wasn't here earlier, but when I added this, it was probably the most genius addition ever because it's just, you know, it does set up for the drop nicely. Something's wrong. Something is on and shouldn't be. There it is. Awesome. Okay. Well, yeah, that was that like little breakdown slash build up section, bridge, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And now it's time for drop 2. We have so far breezed through this. If you haven't picked up, because this is actually not that complicated of a project at all. It just looks fucked. Right. So this is for me one of my laziest drops because I just stole flow that I already used. Discord samples. Is it 4? Is that the same flow or did I change it up slightly? You're fucking me. It's the same saw thing too. Like, oh, let me guess. Yeah, I was just like having a fucking laugh at myself the whole time while making this because it is the same shit. I felt so nice I had to do it twice, dude. Except, you know, well, the first time it was for like a sample challenge, like, you know. So technically it wasn't like a release or anything. So it's like, you know, as far as the public is concerned, was it intentional? Very. What the fuck do you mean? Like I literally like I'm not using the fucking dude, I almost called his ass Big Smoke. What's his fucking name? Fucking fat guy. Fucking Dave Blunts. I'm not using Dave Blunts in the entire song. I only put the sippin' on as like a this is just the same fucking drop. I might as well lean into it. You know. But let me get into the weeds of it though. Let me get into the weeds of it. Let me like actually like talk about it. And let's start with the easiest to talk about. It's the fucking bass. That's it. Okay, awesome. It's the same shit as last time, except I made the curve for the pitch bend slower and less pitchy, so that it has more of like a low end knock rather than like a kick sound effect, which sounds punchier in the mix, which is kind of the point. Be dead butt with me right now. You do Brazilian funk. That distortion's insane. Do I have it rendered? I don't have it rendered. No, but yeah, but let me explain. Let me explain. Actually, that's an excellent question. Here, you can stare at Nepesta for like 2 seconds. I just need to do something. I just need to. Yeah, say hi to Nepesta and be nice. Be nice. That's the most important thing. Okay, I'm back. And here's the bunny. Okay. So like I did decide one day I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking what if I did the most like generic, like straight out of Brazil fucking Oh, it's playing the 2 patches again. Let me You know what I'm saying? Talking about some like tell me that's not hard though. Like it's the stupidest thing I have on my computer. But tell me that's not hard though. It's loop slop, it's sample slop, it's fucking pack slop, dude. It's like that's what it is. Like I just fucking dragged in like one sample pack that I had. But like fucking it's not bad. It's not bad. You know what I mean? Release it, you're funny. No. No, but I like to think that the Brazilians are the Dominicans of the Portuguese. And so like in that with that, you know, I kind of can bridge the gap as somebody, you know, who has Dembo in their brain. Fucking it's in my blood. It's in my mango in the morning, bro. Like it's cool. Awesome. Now let's go over this shit. All this shit. So, step 1 is the saws themselves, because I just, you know, with a drop where I know I'm gonna be super lazy, I'm putting the saws back in the same damn patch as the drop 1. Maybe like a patch or preset to change the EQ if I need to. But I'm like I'm lazy as shit. Same layer as before as well. It's the same chord. No, it's not. Oh, thank God. Wait, there's variety. There's a bit more of a focus on high end. Because I guess I'm going to be using this chord the entire time. You know, and that's the chord that the thing that I do all the time. It's like my classic fill at the end of like a 4 bars. I just kind of do that thing. But what if you put the robot rock melody in that loop? Cluely already did it. So like I literally I'm like, why does it sound familiar? I'm like, oh, fucking Cluely did that shit, but just way faster and like cooler. So no. Well, think about it. You know, I bit Cluely swag once. I could fucking do it again. I listened to the entire. I listened to like not all of Bluecore. I think I got some ear fatigue because like I think I just don't like the drum mixing. It's a little too blown out at times. But you know, I listened to a lot of it so that before I made what was it? It was Purgatory. Yeah, before I made Purgatory, because I needed to, because I didn't know how to triplet swag at all. But whatever. Anyway, the first chord is like 1 octave on. I don't know dariacore that much. What? No, you're thinking too hard. Anyway, so saw stack, right? Same saw stack as I used earlier. But now it's time for me to be even more generic. Right? And I say even more generic because I do this shit all the time when I can't think of anything. If I can't think of anything, it's color-based time. So here's what I do. Here's my process for vocoding a sample in FL. Okay, I take a MIDI out. All right, I don't use like a synth like here, because then I have to put it into a mixer channel, and I don't want to do all that. So I use a MIDI out. I would first test a chord with an FL key. That's why this is here. And I usually just stack the fuck out of the chord, because I want it to vocode the higher frequencies as well. Now I have this thing that I made that I like to call Ghetto Vocode, 223. Now the 223 edition does some weird shit, but I'll explain. So the reason why I use a MIDI out is so that I can have that MIDI port, which is 7, be sent to a synth inside of the patcher preset in the mixer. So I don't have to have a separate mixer track, or like 3 mixer tracks where one's left, one's right. I could do it all in patcher. Super easy. Right, so I'm using a Harmless because it's more lightweight than Serum, though for some reason the default patch doesn't load properly, so I have to like finagle it. Hi Goth and bye Goth. Very nice of you to stop by. Right, now that goes to the right ear. Sorry for even touching it. Trust me, you can learn this stuff. If I can, you can too. At one point, I didn't know any of this shit. At one point, I thought patcher was foreign, but then I started making my own things, and I'm like, wait, this is so useful. I needed to because I'm still limited to like 100 and something tracks, so I had to figure out how to limit like using mixer tracks for shit, and I didn't want to whatever. Okay, so before the actual signal, which is going to the left ear, so which would be like the glitch sound, so that's the modular, I'm pretty sure, and the synth would be the carrier. So the modular, the mod, right? There's a frequency shifter going before it, because this, whenever you're vocoding stuff, if you put a frequency shifter before the thing you're about to vocode, you get some pretty cool results, and you can really nail some specific overtones. Now, the 223 edition of this plugin I made, there's a peak controller going right after the sample that's being vocoded. Now, the reason why that is because if it wasn't, then the vocoder would ring out like way too much, and I just don't want that to be the case. So what this is doing is it's taking the level that's coming in through here, and then applying a balance after the vocoder, based off the peak level. You know, super useful stuff, and with that I can adjust how much of a ring I want with the peak section here. Make sure you turn mute off, obviously, and then it goes into the vocoder. I don't use Vocodex. I don't like the sound of Vocodex. I don't like how processed it already sounds, but it can be useful, you know. So like, fucking experiment however you want, sort of thing. But I just use vocoder. I just kind of mess around with the formed bandwidth, these things, until I get a good sound. It's all trial and error with like vocoding stuff, and it also depends on the input sound. You can change the pitch of the input sound for different results, all that good jazz. Jane Remover's track on the new Danny Brown album. She doesn't even say anything. She's just producer. That's so funny to think. I'm sorry. It's funny to think about just because it's like Loki a troll. It's like, oh my god. Okay, and it's getting clipped hard as hell. No, it's getting limited hard as hell. No, it's getting turned down by a lot. It's not getting limited, but this limiter is adding a bit of latency to the project. So, oops, whatever. Okay, then after that, I get this signal, which has to be turned into something, right? So then I first process it with this thing that I made. I use all the time. Blah, blah, blah. You know, single band compression, multi-band compression, bit crush, EQ, de-esser, simple. Make it louder with this plugin. It doesn't really do anything but make it slightly louder and kind of distorts it as it gets louder. It's a bit of an inside joke with my friend and I, but my friend and me, but whatever. It's mainly because it's like, my friend, he was just in a call with someone, and that person was like, yo, let me put you on game, and he set the clipper to this, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, wait, what if you do that with a fast dist? Because I saw somebody do it with a fast dist. And I'm like, wait, so what if we call it sauce? And then I'm like, oh god, it's Game and Sauce, like Game and Watch. So then I put a 9 there. Also, good work there. Gracias, thank you. Love the new fembread EP album, whatever you call it. It was so good. Thanks. I guess it's an EP. An album would be like you release under a label or like a longer project, but it's only like 15 minutes, so it's still an EP. I feel like it's less than 15 minutes. Right, and then so it's still a mono sound. It sounds cool. It's very thin. It's very Nokia. It's very fucked. So I do this thing where I take a white noise and I shorten the hell out of it, and I put it into a convolver, or I put it into a convolver, then in the convolver I shorten the hell out of it. And the reason why I do that is because it adds tone to the mono signal as well. Right? And here's why that's important. So let's say I were to not do that. Let's say I were to instead use something like a dimension expander, which is like the common option for adding stereo. So boom, boom. Fuzzy? Sorry. Is it this? Or is it the other way around? Oh, it's off. Yeah, so this is what people usually do. They add a dimension expander, which sounds nice. Gives it a bit of a ring. But that tone is completely absent in the mono signal. It sounds exactly the same. And that's kind of a problem, because if it adds like a nice, like high-end lush in the stereo, when you play this shit like at a set, it's gone completely, and it gets buried behind everything else. So I instead use a convolver for my stereo. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution, though. There are certain sounds where it completely changes the character in a way that might be unfavorable, and that does depend on the length of the noise. The shorter the noise gets, the more metallic of a quality you'll get from using that method. And obviously, you can use any other sound that has stereo as the convolver impulse, but I just use white noise because it's white noise. I might even just use pink noise instead, so it's a less like smeary sort of sound, but I just like how white noise sounds. I don't know. And then I EQ it, and the non-linear filter, and then I EQ it again to bring the high end back, but this time with distortion because it's been non-linearly filtered. I guess I don't fucking, And then I clip it really hard again, and then that's that sound. Pretty simple, I think. And then I'm layering it with a hit marker. Because that gives it a transient. It gives it a nice little click. And then if I add that together, let me turn this off. If I add that together with the saws, sounds cool. And then I add it with the bass, it gives it all the clip, all the fuzz, all the fucking... There it is. There it is. And then last but not least, the coup de grace. Just to really solidify that. And then fucking basic ass drums. You'll notice that there's no fills in yet. I like the snare though. It's like, it's that, but pitched way down-ish. So that tail, so you get that tail. But it's like one of those snares pitched way down as well. I think I have that snare now rendered. Cause like that's such a sick snare. I think I have it now. I need to make sure. I need to solve this mystery for myself. Ow. I think it's this one. There it is. Yeah. It's from this project. So nice I had to nab it. Right. Rides, kick, snare. Fill, kick, snare. Kick snare. Did I hear a microwave beep? You did not. Okay, so let me like put the fills and the impact shit in. So I just put in a square here because I got lazy. You know, whatever. And I couldn't think of what to put here, so I just kind of like layered it. Not layered. I just kind of like had these two things like talk to each other. Which sounds kind of cool. It sounds alright for a fill. I'm still to this day like about this fill. I'm like it's kind of like shoehorned in just for the sake of keeping it going, you know. And then for another fill, I just put in a fucking. Yeah, you know what I mean. Know what I'm saying? I think I know where this one shot came from. Yeah, why do you think it's called Why You Myron? Oh god. It's funny because now I have the. Was it from the Kahoot flip? Well, not necessarily from the Kahoot flip. More like whenever I make funk, I use this bell. I also have a better bell now. I found a couple of bells that. Basically, it's a 5th chord, but the 5th is slightly out of tune here. But there are certain bells, like I have a pack now that Roland R70 Chicago Classic. I think it's in perk. See how the root and the 5th are, or hear how the root and the 5th are in tune perfectly? Supposed to hear where that 5th is just slightly like just off. Maybe flat, but whatever. I just fucking, you know, process the shit out of it. So what I do for this to make it sound like completely different. Step 1, whatever this is. Now let me explain. Wave shaper is very easy to understand. I can assure you. It is basically X, Y, okay? As the volume comes in here, it'll be affected on the y-axis. And if nothing's happening to it, if it's just effectively a clipper, it'll be a straight diagonal line, right? Volume in the level is the same. You know, so now what I'm saying is take the volume that is normally like this low and make it the max. Now take the volume that is normally at the middle amplitude and leave it in the middle. And then take the volume that's normally at its highest and put that at the max as well. So it completely changes the character of the waveform. Hence the name wave shaper. You know. And you can it's quite cool. Technically you could probably do the same thing as this in Maximus if you turn all the ADSR for the filter, like the ADSR for the compression like down all the way, like no attack, no release, no sustain, no nothing. Like you might be able to get the same effect because it's kind of just volume in getting affected by the curve like instantly. But that basically makes it sound go from here to here. You can barely hear it, but I have to bring the volume way back in. Completely changes the character of the sound. Super cool. Stereo thing. Nonlinear filter. Bring the high end back. Distort it. Rare one, OTT. I don't use this often. And then EQ it again. Right, here I just did the same fucking dumbass saw fill. Fem fart. Scuzzbum, what the fuck do you want? Welcome. It's kind of low-key. I don't know. I honestly don't even know why I put the link in that server. It's kind of low-key useless for anyone from there to join because I think they've all seen all this shit. I'd be screen sharing. So, like, you know. But whatever. If you do decide to spend your time here, spend it wisely. And please hit like on the stream. That is all I ask of you. That's my one spare change to you. Right, I just used the same fucking stupid fucking saw fill. you know, put in reverb. It cannot get more simple and basic than that. Ted Phil. Right? That's... If you don't recognize where that's from, I'm sorry. I'm sorry it's over for you. And a little Half-Life Alex. Because I just thought it sounded cool to go, oh my. And then here I'm putting back... This is where I'm like, this is the laziest shit I've ever made in my life, but it low-key goes hard. Because I'm just taking what is already here. Hi, Zyth. Welcome to the stream. I'm taking what's already here, I'm just fucking dragging it over. But now it has more purpose because I just use it as a fill as well, you know? So it's different than last time. It's not just constant, it's like the purpose changed. It was like more background here. Whereas here it's a lot more like... It's kind of defining the second half. Like your attention is just drawn way more towards it. Also because it's fucking louder. I'm pretty sure I'm automating out a patcher that I made because it was initially like mixed way louder, but I had to put in the patcher after the fact, which basically just makes it really quiet. And I'm automating that out so that it could be back at its fucking crazy max loud volume. And then I'm putting, is this Huffin? It is. I put Huffin in again. This song has 3 Huffins in it, and there have been 0 SoundCloud comments about that, which I think is funny, but I also think is sad, because I do want there to be some detectives to be like, wait a fucking minute! But I'm basically doing the same thing. I'm not changing anything except for the snare. You know? I cannot explain to you how the snare is made. I don't know. And I know the person that was making it, the way that they used, like, here. Granted, that is a recreation, but that is basically exactly what the original project sounded like. And so it's just it's just a rip from that. Because it's a good snare. It's not a bad snare. It's just, it was used in the worst way possible. But like, you use it here, and it's like, it adds to the overall craziness, the screechiness of it, I am listening to this and I'm violently headbanging and my mouth is wide open for some reason, sort of quality of the song. You know, and I just keep it going. And then a record scratch fill into a reverse kick, and then that's the second drop.
Well, that was pretty...
Random ass half like Alex sound, and then this is just like a fucking shitty 808 challenge. Homemade! You already know how this goes. It genuinely sounds like WD Gaster trying to send you a message through dial-up. Right. And that's it. Yeah, that's it. I mean, the only fancy thing I'm doing... Okay, the master, I guess. Here we go. There is a bit of a master. There is a master. Why is there an actual master? What the fuck is this? Okay. Okay. Let me hear how this sounds, the drop... Let me hear how the drop sounds without the master, because now I'm curious, because I want to be able to actually explain what the fuck I'm doing. Because I don't know what the hell this is. I checked out the stream, and the first thing I hear is a wall of sounds. I do like my wall of sounds. Right, so the drop, if I just use a clipper...
I'm just so tired of life. I know it can't be this can't...
That's so funny. Okay, the clipper plus the input gain. And then plus... Okay, hold on, wait. What? That's so weird. Okay. Alright. So I guess I'll explain it. So the master for this one is an actual master. Usually what I do for Daria, I used to not do this, but I do now because you have to. Everyone uses G-clip. I can't be fucked. I just take an EQ2, I put the input gain up into the clipper, and then that's basically my G-clip. That's it. I will say though, what I do is a little fancy. Sometimes what I tend to do is I kind of hate when the build-up is much louder than the drop, and so the drop doesn't feel as loud in comparison, you know? And so what I'll do is I'll automate the gain of that EQ, or maybe some other, maybe I'll just use one as a dedicated preamp and one as the one that actually moves around. So this is like, there's no preamp at all, and then there's a bit of a preamp, and then when the drop actually hits, there's a crazy preamp.
I'm just so tired of life. I know it can't be this bitch, can't wait to
So it clips way harder, you know? So it really, you know, sells that wall of sounds. For the second drop, it just goes straight to the super loud volume. It doesn't do any of that fucking around shit. Okay, so there's an actual master going on here. So let me explain. Let me explain myself. So Spectral Compressor is a plugin that exists. And I think it just crashed my entire DAW. I have to wait. Oh god. Okay, cool. So Spectral Compressor is a DAW that exists. So think of it like OTT, but it divides it into 2048 separate bands. And you can do a lot with this. You can do a lot with it. But what I'm doing in particular is I'm essentially just using it to compress the high end without touching the low end all that much. This is also a free plugin, which is fucking crazy. So what I'm doing is I'm taking an EQ and I'm sending a lot of high end into the spectral compressor first and foremost. Which I'm gonna put a clipper on the end of this. Which takes all that high end at like around like 10k plus and just kind of like, you know, I guess you could say it's taking away all the detail, but there's not much detail to be had anyway. So I'm like, all right, I might as well double down on that and just kind of really squish it. And that's kind of what I'm doing there. And then because it takes away high end, obviously, I need to put another EQ in to bring it back. But I'm doing a lot with this EQ. I'm kind of getting rid of a notch that was there that I hated. Adding back in that high end and taking away some 300 so that there's a bit more of that like subby feel. Versus. That sounds fucked. But then it's nice and clean. It's not like too harsh, but it is still really loud. Like by raw, like by measurement, it's just loud. Like it's fucking crazy loud. And that's the whole master. I use an LFO tool for like monitoring if I want to look at the waveform. Which you might look at that and be like, what the fuck is there to look at? It's a brick. But trust me, it's useful sometimes. Okay, and yeah, that's it. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. And yeah. So, are there any questions? I always feel fucking so like that white kid with glasses over the chessboard whenever I'm doing these fucking breakdowns. Like, I just can't. You know what fucking image I'm talking about. But whatever. Are there any questions? I mean, like that would be nice. Because it's a very simple. It's not okay. Okay, it's not very simple. It's conceptually simple. Like the techniques used aren't that crazy. I feel like, but like the methodology to get there could be a little fucked because I just use FL more. You know, patcher presets. You gotta learn patcher. Gotta make your own patcher presets because I feel like, you know, This is true for a lot of people. You know, whenever you're processing something, like the basic processing, the basic compression, EQ, and whatever you would do to get like the most out of your sound before you start like adding the fun effects. Um, if you do like more or less the same thing every single time, just make a patcher preset for it. You know, it's essentially the same thing as making yourself like a processing rack on Ableton. And that's the only reason why I did it, is because like people would have racks in Ableton, and I'm like, yeah, they make their own racks, like that's their signature sound. Like you can do that on FL. You know, like the plugins that you would use to beef up, like you can make your own um fucking I don't even know what the hell like Virtual Riot calls it. It's there's some name for it. The fat rack. Yeah, you can make your own fucking fat rack. But yeah. All right. Well, that's that. I'm going to go now. And could you believe we're doing this 3 more fucking times next week? If you were tired of this, boy, I am sorry to put you to bed for the entirety of next week, because it is just going to be a breakdown after breakdown after breakdown for the last 3 songs of the EP, albeit those songs are a bit more eventful, so maybe the breakdown will be a bit more interesting, but, you know, it really is for the producer, I guess, because if you don't make music, like, what are you going to do with the information? You know, but like, not necessarily that like you're gonna like apply it, you know, apply something you've learned or whatever. You know, I think it's just interesting. Like, you can make music, watch a video on a concept that is musical, and not fucking apply it, but like you find it cool just because you're into music. You know, it's like one of those things. Well, if you found this cool, get ready for next week. Join the Discord if you haven't already. There are 2 people in the stream, so I don't even know who I'm talking to. It's basically a Discord screen share at this point, but just worse. All right, thank you for tuning in. I'll be back on Monday at midnight.